just so proud of these kids, you know, to be able to have some of the accomplishments that our seniors have had over the last 5 years, if they're a fifth-year guy, or 4 years, if they're a fourth-year guy. Really incredible, and you know, just looking forward to a nice Thanksgiving and watch some ball games even yet today.
We will now open it up for questions.
Jim, from a historical standpoint, first team ever to Ohio State 5 in a row over Michigan. Talk a little about that.
You know, it's hard to believe because it's so difficult. You know, I remember looking up the statistic about 3 or 4 years ago of you know, what the winning streaks were. You know, just because you've always got to have something in the back of your mind that you're shooting for, and you know, just you know, the fact that it was done in the 30s 4 in a row and done in the 60s 4 in a row. We had Ike Kelly speak to our guys today, and Ike was a great player. Happened to be on one of those teams that in the 5th game didn't get it done, and you could tell that it's still heavy on his heart. And he shared that with our guys today. But you know, it's a great job for our people.
How much in a week like this playing Michigan do you have to change up your wristbands and hand signals and things like that?
Why do you ask?
I hear things.
You hear things? I'm not sure. Maybe a little.
Jim, could you tell by the way they were playing in their front four as the season progressed, this might turn into a day of big plays as opposed to extended drives? I mean, just what was y'all's thought about that as you went into it? And give us an update also on Beanie.
Well, if you watch their films, the teams they played did not run 4 yards, 5 yards, 4 yards, 5 yards. They either ran -1 or hit big ones, whether it was run or pass. And you know, that defensive front they have is something. You know, with those 3 seniors, Taylor and Jamison and Johnson and Brandon Graham is as good a end, you know, as there is anywhere. And I love that number 8. I've been saying that all along. I think he's a hitting Jesse, and you know, but sometimes they have overcommitted, and some people have hit some big ones. And I thought Jim Bowman and his staff did a good job of you know, just being patient, knowing how they were attacking us, and then Beanie and Boom did a good job of keeping their shoulders square and came up with the big plays.
What's Beanie? Is Beanie hamstring? Or?
Yeah, I guess, you know, I don't know if he was cold, you know, or what, but yeah, it started last week a little bit and seemed fine this week in practice, although Michigan week practice, some of these former players, Jerry will tell you, Michigan week practice, they couldn't bust a grape because they want to make sure they are alive for the game. So you never know if they're really healthy, but you know, we'll just have to get him healthy for the next one.
Jim, can you just address from the Penn State loss, then going to that bye week, and where you thought the team was at that point, and what you guys got done, you know, finishing it out here with wins?
Well, you know, that was a tough loss to Penn State. Penn State's a good team. You know, we'll see how they fare in their rival game this week. But you know, we just went to work after that game, just like we do every game. And those 28 seniors are good character guys, and they weren't gonna, you know, let anyone think that they had given up on anything. And so they led us, and they continue to lead us, and hopefully we'll keep getting better.
Coach, from a fundamental standpoint on the field in the second half, you talked about a wild first half. It was 28-0 in the second half. Can you sort of talk about what went right on both sides of the ball in the second half?
Those 2 big runs to make it 21-7, you know, that was huge, and we had to win, and so we were kicking them deep. And then I think we smacked their quarterback, and so all of a sudden they had to go with another one, and they just didn't have the continuity they needed. I thought they did a good job of game planning and so forth, and you know, did some zone things and threw a couple passes up there that I'm not sure how they got completed, but they did. But our guys, you know, are very poised, and you know, heck, we almost even kept them out of there when they got the ball down there at the 1. You know, didn't quite make it, but our guys just keep playing. Our seniors keep leading.
Jim, can you talk about how concerned you were about Terrell's start, if he had jitters or not, and then also about getting Todd in, having some success with him late in the game?
Well, you know, the play that we threw for the interception was clear over on the other side of the field, so I really don't know what happened there. But, you know, that's not the greatest way to start your first Michigan game, but, you know, he said that'll never happen again, and I didn't want to tell him that if it did. So I just left it at that. But no, I thought he handled things well, and you know, Michigan's got a good defense. They were coming after us. And it wasn't until we got some things going that you know, hit a long pass and so forth. But and Todd coming in, you know, Todd threw a couple strikes in there that were, you know, Todd Beckman throws. You know, the one to Hart line for the touchdown was a good adjustment by two guys that know each other pretty well, because quite honestly, it wasn't the play called exactly, but it was a route adjustment off of it. And then the big play to, you know, to Revisk was just a great throw.
Coach, can you assess the play of you guys in November? You guys put 42 points on the board earlier this week. You said you wanted to be playing at your best. Would you say that this was your best today?
You know, I think we've played very well in November, because I thought there were 3 great challenges. When you have to go to Northwestern, you have to go to Illinois, and then the Ohio State-Michigan game is a great challenge no matter where you play it. So I have to assess that, you know, we played well in November, and you know, I still say it's all because of the leadership of those seniors, that they were not going to allow this team, you know, to do anything other than finish right. And that's just the way they practiced. That's just the way they studied film. That's just the way they carry themselves. This was an emotional week. These 28 guys, you know, I told them last night in a little meeting that just the seniors and I had, is that, you know, I've been coaching for a long time. This is my 23rd senior class, and I don't know if I'm getting old or whatever, but this was a group that was as unselfish as I've ever seen, and as special as I've ever seen, and has had as many battles as any group I've ever seen, and accomplished, now I guess you could say, quite a bit. So they're a special group.
You talked about accomplishments. Are you not going to put on your cap just to, it's a pretty hard-earned award there.
It might mess up my toupee.
Come on now, please. Good photo op, thank you.
Photo op?
Coach, over here on the left, can you address first the defense? I think I lost count, but I believe it had either 9 or 10 3-and-outs today.
Is that right?
And then the special teams, all of them, there are a lot of significant plays, but specifically the play of Ray Small today.
Well, you know, I thought Ray Small's return was huge. So I don't remember what the score was at the time, maybe 21-7. You know, I can't be sure, but that was huge. I mean, that was a huge return. Defensively, you know, we'd like to say that if you get 3 or 4 3-and-outs, that's like a turnover. And so if you're talking about 9 or 10, you know, that's like getting 2 or 3 turnovers. And you mentioned the special teams. You know, the kickoff team knocked one loose. The punt team dropped a couple punts down in there. You know, we did pretty well. I'll let you talk to the guys that matter.
Coach, hang on one more if I could.
Whatever
Coach,
you say, Dave.
Coach D'Antonio made no bones about the fact he was an Ohio State fan during the teleconference this week. Does it go without saying that at this moment you are a Michigan State fan?
Well, you know I'm a Coach D'Antonio fan. There's no question about it. I'm so proud of what he and his staff have done, because I've coached with most of those guys, and most of them have coached here. And it's going to be a great game, and have a nice Thanksgiving.
One quick announcement. In the event that Michigan State